Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Ask Dr. Kat, a place to get your burning questions answered so you, me, and especially Gabby can live the remarkable lives we all deserve. Now, let me throw something out to you right now. Have you ever done something new and it kind of makes you feel like someone else is controlling the reactions of your body, like your heart's beating crazy, you can't think straight? Well, that's what we're going to be diving in today. And I want to first share one of my own personal stories to this effect. That was about 25 years ago. Here I was, this haughty little thing, doing my workout at the gym, doing my pull downs in my little tank top, and this hot guy walked up to me, and I'd seen him around, if you know what I mean, and I know that he was noticing me, came over and talked to me. And I flipped out. I swear my heart was beating out of the chest, and my face started twitching. I was like, sir, twitch a lot, and it wasn't making any sense. Now, here's the thing. Those kind of reactions still happen to me today, especially if I'm doing a big talk or going into a really important meeting. I still get those physiological reactions, but it's how I deal with it that makes the big difference. And that's what we're going to be diving in today. So you can go into novel situations and have a bit more control over the way that your body reacts. And that's what the beauty about science is can we use the science to better help us get through the challenges of life? So let's go into the question. It's on my computer. I'm not just looking at Chris Hemsworth over there. So the question is, every time I go into a meeting, my heart feels like it's going to beat out of my chest, and I end up feeling anxious, and I can't get my words right. Why does this happen? Is it normal? And what can I do about it? Let's first answer, why does this happen? Well, this is a good introduction to the old nervous system. At the end of the day, your nervous system is there for three particular reasons. One, it wants you to feel pleasure. Second, avoid discomfort and pain. And third, keep you alive. So those are the three things that happen in the nervous system. So if you just take out the psychology of the situation for a second and step into that, for example, novel meeting, your body's going to be like, whoa, what is happening here? The reason why it does this is says, okay, you're under stress, you might need to run away. So I'm going to start perfusing your body, your muscles especially, with blood in case you have to run away from the meeting, which is probably what you feel like doing. So is this a normal response? Hell yes, absolutely. But also kind of not. And here's why. I say kind of because it depends on, is this a first meeting or is this a repeated meeting? Now, what I'm going to get Gabby to do here is put a little drawing here from a really cool study. Now, if you look at the graph, essentially what it shows here is the difference between a normal adaptation, which you can see that the stress response starts to go down over time, and then an abnormal response to the repeated stressors. So in answering the question, is it normal? It kind of depends. If you're going into repeated meetings, the same meetings over and over and over again, and you're constantly feeling stress, well, this is partially abnormal, because you should be learning through the situation, learning that it isn't a stress. And this is where you see that normal adaptation. So really what we're asking here is, okay, how can I speed up that adaptation? And that's what I love about my activator course, because it really combines the science of physiology with the power and the potential, the limitless potential of psychology, and it marries the two. So by understanding that this is a normal response, this is your first line of attack. Understanding, hey, you know what? This is actually what my body should be doing. The second line of attack is actually using psychology, looking at the meeting not as a trigger, but more so as a stimulus to your body. Now, what's the difference between a trigger and a stimulus? Well, not much, but here's why it's really important to look at them in this different way. A trigger has negative connotations, like a triggering stressful event. For me, a stimulus is potentially positive. And that's how I go into all my meetings, or if I do a talk, I say, you know what? I feel stimulated. And don't put your mind in the gutter. It's not that kind of arousal. It's physiological arousal, which means essentially that your body is excited about something new. So even that small psychological change can have a great impact at lessening the stress of a novel event. Now, the next thing that we can do after we turn something from a trigger into a stimulus is breathe. I know this sounds absolutely nuts so, but it's amazing the effect that specifically deep belly breathing can have to start to tone down what's called the sympathetic nervous system, which is that flight or fight response, and start to dial up what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. It essentially says, you know what? You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be safe. So you can do a bit of breathing exercises and essentially just slow down your breathing. But you know what my favorite tool is when it comes to this kind of stuff? Is doing a positive pre-mortem. And this is one of my most favorite tools within the Activator program. It's kind of like when you learn on NCIS and you see, this is a bit morbid, but the dead body on the table and you're like, oh, I wonder what happened. We want to take a step back and sort of learn what could potentially happen so we can plan for it. So before going into that meeting, ask yourself, what could potentially go wrong? And if that happens, then you're going to do X. Okay, so if blah, then I do that. And it essentially turns on the logical part of your brain. It prepares it to have almost like an exit strategy in a way, even though you're staying within that situation. So let's just talk back at all the things that we spoke about today. The main thing is understand that this is a normal response to a novel situation. The trick is how to become more efficient at minimizing that uncomfortable response. We can do it by looking at the situation, not as a trigger, but only as a stimulus. Second, we can learn how to slow down our breathing to tell essentially our body that we're going to be safe. Number 3, we can use a positive pre-mortem, which is essentially asking the question, if whatever happens, if a person starts looking at me funny, then I'm going to do X, such as go back to my breathing and reframe the situation. So I absolutely love this question because it's so close to home. It's back in the town of physiology, and I would love for you to answer or ask more questions. So you can submit them via the link below, and stay tuned for the next episode of Ask Dr. Kat.